Now at 5, a new Oklahoma law set to toughen sentencing for accessory to murder, what it means for future cases. Plus, how the Quapaw community came together to honor missing and murdered Indigenous persons and support families still seeking answers. And
the stage is set in the Sistine Chapel for the vote that will decide the next pope. I'm Bradley Blackburn at the Vatican with what cardinals are saying ahead of a conclave steeped in tradition.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signs Laura and Ashley's law, strengthening sentencing requirements for certain crimes in Sooner State. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Beginning November 1st, crimes of accessory to murder in the first degree and accessory to murder in the second degree will be added to the list of felony offenses requiring criminals to serve at least 85% of their sentences.
Is so that our family, it won't help us, but the next family that holds somebody accountable.
The law is named after 2 girls, Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman, who went missing in December of 1999. Ashley's parents were found murdered in their burned home. Decades later, the cold case finally centered on 3 suspects, but 2 of them had already died. The 3rd suspect, Ronnie Busick, eventually agreed to a plea deal in 2020, pleading guilty to accessory to murder, kidnapping, and arson. However, in 2023, Busick was released early from prison due to good behavior. Going forward, Laura and Ashley's law ensures those who aid in such heinous crimes face stricter consequences, something Laura's mother, Lorene, pushed for years.
Is so that our family, it won't help us, but the next family that holds somebody accountable for accessory to murder will be kept in jail.
Lorene Bible worked with State Representative Steve Bayshore to file that bill. She's been a part of the investigation since day one and still hopes to one day find the bodies of both her daughter and Ashley Freeman. Quapaw community members today participated in a walk for families of missing or murdered Indigenous persons. The gathering aimed to honor victims and give grieving families a chance to share their stories in hopes of finding healing and answers about missing loved ones.
This is our way of letting their spirits, we believe their spirits are out somewhere. We're all connected through here. He's seen to it that we're connected this way.
They have to have that closure. Don't give up on working those cases, finding leads, because it is horrible to have a family member that's been missing for years and you just don't know whether they're still alive or they're not.
Victims of lost loved ones say they appreciate the support of the community. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, not a bad Tuesday for us today, but some rain starting to skirt in over the past couple hours, kind of pushing through northeastern Oklahoma, getting into southwestern Missouri along and south of I-44. Fairly light, not a huge deal, but we are going to have showers out there, especially along and south of I-44. You can see a little bit heavier in Neosho back toward Grand Lake. And again, through the evening into the overnight hours, just kind of spotty showers. Here's about midnight, they start to pick up a little bit more numerous as we go into Wednesday morning. Scattered showers, couple rumbles of thunder all the way till about the noon hour on a Wednesday, and then a few thunderstorms start to develop as we get into Wednesday evening. Looking outside right now, it's 68 in Joplin, it's 70 in Pittsburgh. Through the evening hours, slide back through the 60s. We'll talk more about rain chances here in a bit.
Road work is underway along K7 south of Girard to US 400, causing minor delays for drivers. The project includes a mill and overlay to repair damaged sections and extend the life of the highway. Flaggers and a pilot car are guiding one-lane traffic through the zone with expected delays under 15 minutes.
They look at surface conditions. These were really before a lot of the potholes appeared, but they took core samples and then they realized that there was a weak layer. Normally you'd mill 1.5 inches out, but there was a weak layer that they needed to go a 3-inch mill to get to sound surface.
KDOT expects the $5.5 million project to be complete by mid-June, weather permitting. Final preparations are underway for the conclave to begin tomorrow at the Vatican. It's likely a new pope will be selected by the end of the week. Reporter Bradley Blackburn is at the Vatican with the latest.
With Michelangelo's frescoes watching from above, the Sistine Chapel sits ready to host 133 cardinals from 70 countries as they elect a new pope. In one of the final traditions ahead of the conclave, Pope Francis's fisherman's ring and his official seal were destroyed.
Wait and see.
Many cardinals remain tight-lipped just one day before they begin voting.
We won't have a new Francis. Yeah, Francis is Francis.
To be a pope has so many different kind of job requirements, right?
CBS News papal contributor Delia Gallagher says the first vote will establish who the real contenders are.
What would surprise you here?
An African pope. It would surprise and please me. My sense is that we'll be going back to probably an Italian pope, or at least a pope who's had a lot of experience.
Many of the rules of this conclave were set back in the 13th century after an election that lasted almost 3 years. While there's still no deadline, more recent conclaves have lasted only 2 days. And as for the white or black smoke that signals a decision, that's a relatively modern tradition dating back just more than 100 years.
And when it starts coming out, the problem is it's a little bit gray. And so you don't really know until a little bit further on. And then, of course, if it's white, the bells will start to ring. And then you know they've elected a pope.
Cameras from around the globe are already focused on that chimney, waiting for the conclave to begin. And the old-fashioned signal of a new chapter for the Catholic Church. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, the Vatican.
The conclave is done behind closed doors. Today, workers at the Vatican, cleaners, cooks, nurses, took an oath of secrecy. They would be excommunicated from the church if they were to break it. President Trump met with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House this afternoon, where the newly elected leader declared that Canada is not for sale ever, to which President Trump responded, quote, "Never say never." Carney was elected in part for pledging to stand up to the Trump administration in the wake of President Trump's tariff policy and calls for Canada to become the 51st state. During the meeting, both leaders acknowledged that the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which was signed during President Trump's first term, needs changes. Dozens of demonstrators against the war in Gaza took over a building at the University of Washington in Seattle. They also blocked streets and set fire to dumpsters. This is the most visible protest of its kind so far this spring. Following dozens of protests on campuses a year ago, police arrested more than 24 people. Still ahead, blooming prices.
It's peak season for floral gifts, but what about those tariffs? I'm Michael George with a look at the supply chain and how you can save.
But up first, the specific challenges for women with type 2 diabetes. That's just ahead in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, living with type 1 diabetes can have a big impact on women over the course of their lives. Experts are getting the word out that education is critical to diabetes care. Michaela White has one woman's story.
I like to put my pumps on the back of my arms.
In the 18 years that Sydney Lundgren has been living with type 1 diabetes, the technology has transformed her care. She wears a continuous glucose monitor that regularly tells her what her blood sugar level is. And she wears an insulin pump, which gives her insulin when she needs it.
I like to wear mine where you can see them for that exact reason. Like, I want people to come talk to me.
That education is part of her job. Sydney works for the Children's Diabetes Foundation.
I love getting to work with other people living with type 1 every single day.
As a woman living with type 1, Sydney deals with some extra highs and lows.
I can tell where in my cycle I am based on what my blood sugar is.
There are different ways that we can anticipate that someone may have different needs for their insulin requirements based on where they are in their menstrual cycle.
Dr. Sarit Polsky treats women with diabetes at the Pregnancy and Women's Health Clinic at the Barbara Davis Center. Hormones associated with a woman's reproductive cycle can make their body insulin resistant.
Pregnancy poses very unique challenges, and in pregnancy we're caring for not just one person but two. So we want to make sure that we ensure the health of both the mother and the child.
High glucose levels can lead to babies born with high blood sugars and even miscarriage. It is one of the challenges that Sydney will face.
I think think a lot of women living with type 1 diabetes, it can be a concern on what's pregnancy going to look like, how am I going to deal with the hormonal changes.
You can have a happy and healthy pregnancy. You just have to work harder than someone who doesn't have diabetes.
And doctors say that starts with seeing a qualified doctor and education about diabetes care. Michaelia White, CBS News.
And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why your next bouquet might cost a bit more and how florists are blooming through the impact of new flower tariffs.
And showers starting to increase across the region. We're going to look at that. Well, not a bad Tuesday for us today, but some rain starting to sneak in across the region, especially the southern half of the four-state area. Mainly light showers, and that's what we're going to see kind of on and off as we go through the overnight hours. These kind of working up through northeastern Oklahoma into southwestern parts of Missouri, but overall fairly light, a little more persistent from Grove up toward Neosho where you see the yellows. Besides that, it's very spotty showers. These are kind of dying and lifting north and east at about the same time. This is all due to a big upper level low, a cutoff low from the main flow of the jet, but you can see that counterclockwise spin and then the moisture out ahead of it. This is going to meander its way kind of on top of us and hang out for several days, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms. So there's rain chances scattered about, go up after midnight tonight into Wednesday morning. A little bit of a lull tomorrow morning and then back up once again as we get into Wednesday afternoon. So let's go through time. Hit and miss light showers. Here's about 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a couple rumbles of thunder, not a big deal. Hit and miss light showers stick around into Wednesday morning. Here's 6:30 in the morning. Let's go all the way to about the noon hour. A few embedded small little thunderstorms at times, heaviest along the north of I-44. As we get into Wednesday afternoon, we're going to watch a little chunk of energy come at us, giving us a few scattered thunderstorms. And some of these guys could be a little bit stronger, so maybe a few strong storms working through. So here's 4:30 p.m., kind of pressing through 5, 6, 7 p.m. We could get some heavy downpours within this batch. And then starting to work out, so here's 8 or 9 p.m., and then we settle back in to scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. So here's Thursday morning, and much of the same, just kind of hit and miss showers. Here's the noon hour on Thursday, and then rain finally starts to taper off a little bit once we get into Thursday evening, and then pretty much out of here once we go to Friday morning. How much rain could we get? Not excessive amounts, but a lot of areas, a half an inch, upwards to an inch. There could be some 1.5 inch amounts depending on where those heavier showers start to really kind of set up. But you can see the roads are wet. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Temperature is a little bit cooler with the rain, low to mid 60s, and then you have near 70 in our northern counties. We'll slide back through the 60s into the 50s. Again, we're going to have those hit and miss showers sticking around as we go into your Wednesday. 58 to start, 62 by noon. High temp right around 67 degrees. And you can see this little area of low pressure. It hangs out south of us, so our same storm system as we go into the weekend, and it kind of lifts back toward us, trying to give us a few more showers as we get into the second half of the weekend into early next week. So we're going to be watching it for several days. 67 on your Wednesday. Let's go 67 Thursday, Friday. Clearing out. The weekend looks fantastic. 70 Saturday, 73 on Sunday. Some showers on Monday, and then 80s move in the middle of next week.
I know these April showers bring May flowers, but you know those flowers need some sunshine too, as we all do.
They
so
do.
It's nice to have a mix.
Yes.
Thanks, Doc. Coming up, a new report raises concerns over thousands of auditor departures, what it could mean for future tax collection. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Internal Revenue Service has lost about a third of its auditors. A new report from a U.S. Treasury Department watchdog says around 3,600 auditors either took the Trump administration up on its deferred resignation program or were fired due to DOGE cuts. Experts say losing such a large number of auditors could impact the federal government's ability to collect tax revenue. Peak season is upon us for all things floral. Mother's Day, graduations, weddings coming up. And while the U.S. does grow some of its own flowers, the bulk of blooms come from overseas and are subject to tariffs. There's concern that extra cost could wilt your budget. Michael George takes a look.
We get flowers from Ecuador, Colombia, Canada, Thailand, Holland.
Chances are the stems in your favorite bouquet have traveled, and these days that likely means a tariff.
We're going to do the best we can to sort of keep those prices where they need to be, but people can definitely expect to be paying a little bit more.
80% of flowers consumed in the United States are grown elsewhere. Last year, the U.S. imported $2.2 billion worth of cut flowers and greens, the bulk of it from South America.
The fact that they can grow year-round gave them a natural advantage.
Kate Penn is CEO of the Society of American Florists. She says domestically, small growers, many of them an acre or less, have flourished since the pandemic, selling at farmers markets and to a blossoming wedding industry.
The consumer does want to buy local, especially brides. They love to be able to have local flowers featured.
But even small growers like Moonshot Farm here in East Windsor, New Jersey, aren't immune to the fallout from tariffs.
The bulbs that we grow these from are imported from Italy and Holland.
Farmer Rebecca Kutzer-Rice says she just received her first few shipments to be hit with 10% tariffs.
We're estimating it could cost our small business anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 a year, which for a small farm is almost the equivalent of like a salary of another employee.
Industry experts say consumers can still get what they want, just set a budget and let the florist work their magic.
There literally are countless substitutions, and florists are just masters at creating something that's still going to make a big impact.
A rosy outlook, even with the added cost of tariffs. Michael George, CBS News, East Windsor, New Jersey.
Even farm supplies like drip tape and greenhouse plastic are imported and subject to tariffs. And for florists, many of their containers, vases, and other accessories come from China and face even stiffer fees. But the Society of American Florists says a lot of vendors started stocking up on those items shortly after the election. In a historic shoe deal, Skechers is being sold to private equity company 3G Capital for more than $9 billion. Skechers currently has more than 5,000 retail stores, and the company says it earns around $5 billion annually. In a statement, Skechers said it believes the deal will help the company meet the needs of its consumers and enable long-term growth. A final check of the forecast coming up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, we told you final preparations are underway for the start of the conclave. What do Americans want from the next pope? Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from the mother of a Frontenac teen who died of a fentanyl overdose a day after 2 people were sentenced in that case. Plus, the mystery of half a car discovered in a Missouri neighborhood. And we're going to preview the upcoming postseason games for PSU baseball and both Pitt State and Missouri Southern softball. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A Kentucky mom received a delivery she hadn't quite bargained for. Stacks and stacks of boxes of lollipops. Turns out the sweet surprise was ordered by her young son while he played on her phone. Holly LaFerver says she tried to cancel her 8-year-old boy's Amazon order for about 70,000 dum-dum suckers, but apparently it was too late. The online retail giant delivered 22 cases of the treats to her home near Lexington.
He wanted to have a carnival, and he was ordering the Dum-Dums as prizes for his carnival. So, again, he was being friendly, he was being kind to his friends.
Yeah, he's just being friendly, Mom. LaFerver says her account said she owed about $4,000 for the order. Doug, I looked up to see what the price of these Dum-Dums are. It comes out to about 6 cents a piece. So if you're racking up $4,000 worth, that's a lot of Dum-Dums.
She's got Halloween candy for the rest of her life.
Well, she's hoping to get a refund on some, but they're working on that. We'll see how it goes. The weather.
On and off showers for us this evening, and then some thunderstorms tomorrow. Nothing severe, and showers sticking around on Thursday.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.